listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Hello and welcome to Grave Discussions. I am your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, Samael. Welcome one, welcome all.
This is episode number 46, The Best and Frightest. In this episode, we're going to be discussing some current and up-and-coming horror directors that we think are the future of the genre. So that should be a really cool discussion. I'm hyped about that.
Yes, and you had to inform me on a few of them because honestly, you know me. I pay attention to the movies. I don't really pay attention to the directors. No offense to any horror directors out there, but the only newer horror directors I really know are like Justin Seaman and Todd Jenkins.
Don't you mean Seaman?
No.
Seaman.
It's Seaman.
Seaman. No, we appreciate you though, Justin Seaman.
Oh yeah. I just ordered Volumes of Blood, I think it was. I got the Collector's edition off of eBay.
Nice.
So that makes... Now I have that. I have 1031 and The Barn. I'm looking to get Bone Jangles next, but I can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, that one I think is kind of hard to find. So did he direct one of the segments on Volumes of Blood?
I think like the whole thing was his.
Oh, okay. Because I know it's like an anthology, so usually they have different directors direct each segment or whatever. But I don't know about that particular movie. But okay, that's dope. That's dope. We're going to talk about Justin Seaman and some other great directors coming up in our main segment. But as always, we like to start you guys off with what's been going on in the world of horror recently. So let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
We've actually got a lot of news over this past week that is pretty exciting. The first was just announced. It's about the new Child's Play TV series, the continuation of the movies.
Okay, so guess who picked up Child's Play?
Yeah, Sci-Fi.
And hopefully with the cancellation of Channel Zero, the Child's Play series does not suffer the same fate. Unless it sucks, then I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's good since it's supposed to be a continuation of the movies, which means that Don Mancini is involved. And actually, speaking of Channel Zero, the creator, Nick Antosca, is also attached to the Child's Play TV series, and he's producing it. So
ooh,
that should be pretty cool.
They're bringing back Brad Dourif as Chucky, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck sure, yes. Yeah. He's the only acceptable Chucky, honestly. I'm pretty interested in the remake that's coming up aside from the TV show. I just don't think anyone can replace Brad Dourif.
Yeah, I think interested is the right word because I'm not excited about it, but I just want to see what they do with it.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not a curiosity killed the cat situation and our dreams get crushed. I just have a feeling as soon as, because we're going to go see Child's Play, definitely. I have a feeling that we're just going to have that intense feeling of disappointment when we're leaving the theater.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, as a horror fan, I hope it's good, but for one thing, I feel it's unnecessary, but yeah, I do kind of feel the whole killer robot doll premise is just going to end up being kind of stupid.
I think what attributes to all of these remakes and reimaginations, I think, is a lack of imagination and a lack of creativity from a lot of people in Hollywood. Because, I mean, no offense to Blumhouse, some of their movies are good, and notice I say some and not most, but some of their movies are complete shit, Truth or Dare.
Yeah,
that one was I guess, quote unquote original, but at the same time it really wasn't. It's just, I don't know, man. I just feel horror is just at a okay place right now.
Yeah.
But I think if they just keep spitting out remake after reboot after a random sequel, because let's be real, it was nice to see a sequel to Halloween, but there was really no reason to make a new Michael Myers movie other than the fact just so we could see Michael Myers on screen. That was the only thing I was really excited about, because when's the last time he was on like 09 before this, and it was bad. So
yeah, I mean, they just wanted to rope you in with you know, like, look, Michael Myers, and that's what they're doing with this movie too.
Yeah, look, it's Chucky,
you know?
right? Is it Brad Dourif? No, goodbye.
But the thing is that, like, you know, like you and me and like our friend the caretaker, we could have all sat down and we could have been like, hey, let's do a new Chucky movie. What are we gonna do? And I feel like, you know, the idea of like, hey, let's turn him into a killer robot doll would have came up as like one of the first things we could have thought of. And I just know that we all would have been like, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Let's think of something else, you know? So unless they go like a different route than like what we're expecting, I just think it's going to lack that imagination. I agree.
Yeah, completely. I don't think it's going to capture like the same feels as the original too. Like, because that movie is no doubt one of the best horror movies ever, along with Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th, The Thing, etc., etc. So like I feel like it's gonna be a miss. Like, honestly, all these like the big time remakes like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, they were okay, but like it wasn't like, it didn't feel like those movies, you know what I mean? It didn't feel like the same character. It didn't have it was just a whole different vibe. And honestly, the only good ones to me were like the Woman in Black remake, the fucking Friday the 13th, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Other than that, it's just...
Was the Woman in Black a remake?
Yeah, it's like from a
right.
1960 something film, I think.
Is it like a TV movie or something?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. I don't know. I remember now, kind of. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I agree. I mean, there are very few that are actually very good. So that's why I'm looking forward to the TV series more. And I actually am glad that it's going on to Sci-Fi, because Sci-Fi has always been like pretty good for horror movies, you know, despite their like originals kind of being ass.
Oh god, like Sharknado, you mean? And what else was there?
All those just like really shitty like monster movies with like the bad CGI.
Oh god.
Like I can't think of any names, but
like,
you know what
look,
I mean.
Here's an alien, except the alien is in a prison and it's eating the prisoners. Oh my. And look, a tornado with sharks in it. Like,
yeah, they've always got some dumb shit too, like Croco Gator versus, you know, whatever the fuck.
It's so dumb. Sci-Fi used to have good TV movies. Like they had this one Casa de los Muertos I saw. I think that was an original. There was one like, basically I think it was called All Souls Day or something like that, where like there's like a small village and people gather at a house and like they summon demonic spirits and then they take people over and then you got a whole village of like evil fucks. Like those movies were all right. I remember watching them growing up. And House of the Dead, I think that was a Sci-Fi original. I don't know if you watched that.
Yeah,
it's like with all the zombies and then the fuckers go to a rave and then they're hiding in the locker room from the zombies.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I think that was one of the first zombie movies I watched where like they had to cover themselves in zombie blood so they could sneak past the zombies. I think that was the first movie I watched like that.
Yeah, no, they did have some good movies for sure, but I mean, usually like the properties and the movies other than like their originals that they put on are usually pretty good. And I mean, you know, they're passionate about like the genre and everything. So I think they can do it justice, or it'll just be like not watched and canceled after like a season. So I mean, we'll see. But yeah, TV series of Child's Play going to Sci-Fi. There's still no official release date or anything like that, but we'll keep you guys posted. I am excited though. I think there's a lot of like good people working behind it. And I think that Sci-Fi can make it like pretty good. So let's move on. We've actually got more discussions of more TV series. I don't want to spend a whole ton of time on these, but because they've been going around social media for a while now. But The Lost Boys and Resident Evil getting TV series.
So there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is we're getting a Lost Boys TV series. And the bad news is it's going to be on the CW.
Yeah. I'm not excited about that at all because, I mean, the CW has some like decent shows, but they pretty much only have like one real demographic, and it's like, you know, girls between the ages of like 16 and 19. So the shows are typically, you know, more dramatic than anything.
Oh yeah, soap operas like Vampire Diaries or whatever the hell.
Yeah, or like any of the superhero shows. I mean, they're cool sometimes, but for the most part, it's just some like whiny, sappy, you know, dialogue and romance and
shit,
everything.
dude. Even Supernatural. I mean,
Yeah.
that went from. Do you remember how different the first season of that show was from the rest? We went from like Bloody Mary to, hey, look, it's God.
Yeah.
I'm talking to God, and his name is Chuck. Like, what the fuck?
And I mean, just a lot of the character interactions and stuff like that eventually just kind of, you know, I felt like decreased in quality.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not like particularly excited about the Lost Boys remake because even other people were commenting on it going like, well, I guess it's just going to be like a soapy teen drama and stuff. And,
oh, yeah, it definitely is.
I mean, the original kind of had some of those elements, but it wasn't really to that extent. It was more of like you could expect real people back in that day, like young people, to interact with each other, you know, except they're vampires. But
see, like our problem is like no offense, ladies, but stop turning our vampires into soap operas and shit. Like, look what Stephanie Meyer started. Yeah. We went from Twilight to Vampire Diaries, and now it's like, bro, chill the fuck out. If you do this with the Lost Boys, I will set myself on fire.
Yeah, I agree, dude.
Don't turn my shit into a soap opera, all right? You know who we need writing these? Fat dude with like 18 arm tattoos writing this shit, because that's someone that probably cares about the genre a lot. These Stephanie Meyer type chicks that write these like soapy ass fucking stories, it's not for me, man. Like Like, dude, when I was a kid, I watched The Lost Boys, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone did, I'm sure. Like, that's one of the best vampire movies ever. Mm-hmm. And the best part of it was actually fucking scary. And the effects were dope. The vampires were dope. Yeah. I don't want, like, teenage vampires fighting over a girl or none of that shit. Or, like, hey, you know, let's go to the skate rink. And then they go to the skate rink and, like, a vampire kidnaps someone and they're like, let's go get her back. I love you, Susan. Like, what the fuck, man?
I mean, there was like obviously a big part of the plot was the main, I forget their names, I'm sorry, but like, you know, the main guy's relationship with that one girl that he like found on the boardwalk like that he lusted after or whatever, you know, but it wasn't that like teen soapy shit like Riverdale or Gossip Girls type shit or anything like that, you know. It was like more like he was drawn to her, he wanted her, but he had to go through Kiefer Sutherland, you know.
Yeah.
And there was like an actual dynamic, and there was like this really like this cool power struggle between those two and everything, you know. So it was written well, and like you said, the vampires when they became vampires were actually scary. The effects were great, and it had cheesy moments because it was the 80s, but you know, it wasn't like just that cringy, like just really dripping with just, I don't know,
teenage angst.
Yeah, teen angst and everything. Yeah, exactly. So.
I just want them to appeal to an audience that actually gives a fuck about like the Lost Boys. Well, we're gonna make it for teenage girls and like beta male teenage boys. Like, come on, bro, don't do that to us. Just give us true horror. We don't want soap operas like The Walking Dead. We don't want bullshit like Vampire Diaries. We don't want these fuckers to sparkle like in Twilight. Give us horror. Make the shit scary.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking like first season of Supernatural scary. Like fucking, what else? Tales from the Dark Side scary. Like, except more modern, you know? Like, just make scary shit. Stop turning horror into fucking drama.
Yeah, dude. I know, I agree. And I think it is going to depend on like the path that they take with the story, because based on the article, it sounds like the premise at least is kind of the same as like the original, but I don't know what they're going to do with it in series format. So
they're going to put a giant spin on it. Like, I'm just so sick of, and I talk about this almost every episode, I'm so sick of soap opera bullshit horror. Like, it's bad for the genre. Let's be real. Imagine if every horror, slippery slope, but now imagine if every horror movie turned into like a teen angst drama. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't like that at all.
Dude, I'd be so fucking mad. It's so cringy, bro. Vampire Diaries is cringy. It's bad, okay? I don't care what you say. Vampire Diaries is bad. Walking Dead, at this current moment where it's at, it's bad. You know when it became bad? Once the governor died. After that shit, they were like, you know, it's not, the problem is with Walking Dead is when they made it not about the zombies and about the people. Like, okay, yeah, people are scary. We already know that. That's why we live in the world, okay? We want some shit that isn't possible to scare us in real life, like zombies and Frankenstein and monsters. We don't want real life people. We deal with dickheads on a daily fucking basis. Like, we don't want to fucking, people are scarier than zombies. People are the real monsters. Oh, cool, bro. That's so deep. How'd you think of that? Like,
yeah, no, I agree.
And there is good news though. There is good news.
There's good news. Yeah, we're getting the Lost Boys TV series, but we are also getting Resident Evil as well.
You see, that's, you know why I'm happy? They can't turn that into a fucking soap opera. The worst that can happen is they can turn it into like an action type.
Yeah, I mean, don't underestimate these people. They can do it, but this one is actually going to Netflix.
See, that's what
I have faith in Netflix.
I do have faith in Netflix because Netflix, when they have their own like shit, it's usually good. Like, besides like I know that TV show I was telling you about.
Yeah,
that was originally a Lifetime original, so like you could kind of tell that it's not by Netflix. But all like the Netflix main horror shit, like it's really good. Like I have no problem with most of the stuff that Netflix releases because they don't turn it into a fucking woe is me.
Yeah, I hope that they don't do that. I mean, when you have like a TV series, I feel like you kind of go down that road naturally, you know, with like certain characters interacting and stuff. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that they want to make it scary. You know, I'm pretty sure that they want to bring like some iconic characters into it, because I think it's actually supposed to take place from kind of the beginning, because it's supposed to explore the dark inner workings of the Umbrella Corporation and the New World Order caused by the outbreak of the T-virus. So it sounds like it's either going to be like right when the whole outbreak started or kind of, you know, in the middle of it or something like that. But yeah, like I said, I am excited about it, and I can't wait to see what Netflix does with it. It's supposed to be a German production as well as a part of some other studios and things too. So
oh shit, what the hell? Well, hopefully we'll get some Nazi zombies then.
Well, it says it's a global original, meaning that they're probably going to have different people, different studios.
Und brains!
Yo, I'd be down for that. Like Dead Snow.
Oh, Dead Snow was so good. Oh man, I gotta add that to my collection.
Yeah,
because I already got all of the Return of the Living Deads.
There you go.
I don't have 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later though.
Ooh, yeah, you got those are essential for sure.
They really are, especially Days.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I mean, this zombie thing I am particularly excited for too. I think if they have like Leon and stuff and they cast some good people,
yes,
it's gonna be fire.
You know who I think could play Leon? The kid who plays Carl on The Walking Dead. Since he died, they could like just take him.
Yeah, but Leon's like older though.
Is he? He's like in his 20s.
I think like late 20s or early 30s.
He looks like a young dude.
Yeah, well, those Japanese people make everybody look young.
That's true. That's true.
But I think he's supposed to be. I mean, he's like a special forces officer or something. So he could be younger, but I mean, he looks like he's at least in his late 20s.
Because I know in Resident Evil 2, which I started playing the remake again, this is not a paid advertisement, but he was a rookie cop in 2, so if this takes place right at the beginning, it would kind of make sense to have like a younger dude. I guess not as young as Carl,
yeah,
but maybe damn, I can't really think of anyone who could play Leon.
Yeah, I'd have to think about it, but they always get the casting down like pretty well, I think.
Oh yeah.
So they did find someone good. So I mean, for both of these series, I'm excited to see like who the cast members are and who's actually going to be like behind the show and everything, because I think that's going to really determine like how the shows are going to be. You know, like usually you can kind of tell depending on like who the actors and actresses are and stuff like that. You know?
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm excited for that one. Next up, we've got yet another. This is just all remakes talk today, pretty much. But this one is kind of cool as well. So after the failed garbage disaster piece that was, I think it was last year's The Mummy.
Oh God.
With Tom Cruise, I didn't even watch it. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I've heard nothing but terribly bad things about it.
Dude, the 4K is like $8 on Amazon. Yeah. That's how bad it was.
I kind of want to see it just to see it, but at the same time, I don't.
No one can replace Brendan Fraser, bro. That movie was amazing.
It was, yeah. But I mean, you know, this was supposed to be kind of a new thing for them. This whole like dark universe, but they completely failed with The Mummy. So now they're going to be trying to reboot the Universal Monsters yet again with the Leigh Whannell directed Invisible Man.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking a little bit more about Leigh Whannell in our main segment, but I am pumped about this. He just came off of a great film with Upgrade, and now he's going to be pretty much responsible for either directing a successful new Universal Monsters movie and potentially launching like that whole franchise again, or having it just follow in the footsteps of The Mummy and just crash and burn. I don't know.
Oh man, I hope not.
Yeah, but Leigh Whannell, I have faith in him after what he's done, and with Insidious and Upgrade and everything else that he's done. So I'm actually looking forward to this one, but I hope that they don't tarnish the Invisible Man too much, because the original film is like one of my favorite like old black and white movies.
Wasn't the discount Tom Hardy in Upgrade, the dude from Devil?
Yeah,
he was a dude in discount Tom Hardy. That's what I call him.
Pretty much. But he did a good job. I mean, I don't know if he's maybe he'll be the Invisible Man. I don't know.
Oh shit!
But that was the one. Yeah. But I am excited for this. I mean, the Universal Monsters were always super cool, and they had like big plans to do like Bride of Frankenstein and all that kind of stuff again. So if this takes off, we could see more stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to capture the same kind of essence. We'll see about that one. Be on the lookout. Once we have more information, we'll let you guys know. We got a couple new trailer announcements, then we're going to get right into the cult corner. The first is called The Hole in the Ground. This is actually a new A24 movie.
It looked pretty dope. It looks similar to The Hollow Child. I don't know if you saw, but this I think it's a little girl. She goes into the woods, right? She gets lost. And then when she comes back, she's not the same.
Yeah. So that's actually been kind of a trending like premise for horror recently.
Monster kids.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it with like Hereditary and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So not only the monster kid type thing, also the whole like, mother and child, or just really the whole like family dynamic thing. But I've been seeing a lot of these like mother and troublesome kid things, like The Prodigy. That's another one. So kind of like what we expected.
Like not even troubled kid, but like there's always just some struggle between like parents and their kids. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed this wasn't an issue with like older movies? It's like, yo, millennials, keep your fucking kids in check. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. No, that is basically how it is. But now we're seeing it like more and more and more. And Hereditary definitely has something to do with it. But I mean, I'm not like opposed to it, because I think the whole like family horror movie is interesting to explore. There's a lot of opportunities for different interactions and stuff like that. And this is kind of based off of some like urban legends and folk tales about like the doppelgangers and stuff like that. But essentially this kid wanders off. There's a giant sinkhole.
I'm guessing that hole in the ground is like a meteor of some sort, and he was kidnapped by aliens or something. It's gonna be something sci-fi horror. I'll bet any money that it's not supernatural though.
I don't know. I feel like it is, only because like if it is based on those urban legends, like those are largely just supernatural things. Like they don't have anything to do with aliens. They're just like different, like little creatures that either like steal your kids and replace them with like that, because that's the real like urban legend about like fairies and stuff like that. Like they'll steal your kids or something and replace them with like a doppelganger that
dude, there was another
commits
movie
evil and stuff.
There's another movie I just watched with fairies kidnapping kids like and taking them. Like, so I forgot the name of that one, but it's on Xfinity for free. There's that one, there's The Hollow Child, and now there's The Hole in the Ground, which is essentially both of them, looks like.
Yeah. So I am excited about this one though. I mean, the vibe looks good, the acting looks good. So I am pumped to see it. It's going to be releasing March 1st in limited theaters. Unfortunately, I don't have more information, but hopefully you all get to see it. I would like to see it as well. We'll keep you guys posted on The Hole in the Ground. Let us know what you think about it. The next trailer is called Feedback. It actually looks pretty cool. So it's based in this radio station or radio studio, they call it. I think it's like somewhere where actual audience goes and they can like view the show live or something like that. But it concerns this radio show host, and it's just one bad night at this radio station. Like he gets wrapped up in some kind of scandal, and the radio station gets taken hostage by these like masked gunmen and stuff. So it looks like it's going to be more of like kind of a thriller, but I actually do think it looks pretty good. Like the acting looks phenomenal in it, and it looks like it's going to be pretty intense.
Oh yeah, I just wish I knew what the fuck they were talking about. Because I was looking through the trailer, I was like, yeah, this looks good. I just wish I knew what the hell was going on with all those masks and shit. And
Yeah.
¿Por qué, mi amigo? And just staring at him as he's sitting there.
Yeah. Especially because at one point it looks like the masks themselves are like faces that are moving or something.
I was going to say
confused.
that part, I think they drugged him or something.
Probably, yeah. Maybe gave him some kind of truth serum, or I don't know, some bullshit.
Some fucking like ayahuasca or some shit.
Peyote or
Right?
he would be flipping the fuck out.
Like imagine like two dudes tie you up, they're wearing masks, they're like, we're gonna kill you, but first here's some hallucinogens. Like, why?
Yeah,
it's like some shrooms shit.
Because then you just like want to enjoy stuff. Yeah, man, that would suck. But there might already be an English language trailer out by the time you're hearing this. I'm not sure, but if you do find it, let us know what you think about it. But that is supposed to be coming out internationally in March of this year, so in just a couple months. The last trailer we have for you guys is about a movie called Nightmare Cinema. Now this looks pretty cool. It's a new anthology that's supposed to star Mickey Rourke.
It looks good.
It does.
Especially Mickey Rourke, man. I can't believe he's still making films. Last I heard from him was The Wrestler.
Yeah, same here. And I'm pretty sure he's like even more worked on now. Anyway, yeah. Check out Nightmare Cinema once it does come out. Unfortunately, there's no release date that I could see yet, but I'll be on the lookout for that. So let's move on now. We're going to get right into our first segment, The Cult Corner.
Dun dun. Dun dun. You guys know where that bass pulse is from? Today in The Cult Corner, we'll be discussing possibly the greatest alien movie ever. And yes, it is better than Alien, so shut up. It is John Carpenter's The Thing, one of the greatest horror movies ever conceived. And I'm saying this after only watching it for the first time last year, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
No, it is so good.
So fucking good. John Carpenter he's a master of horror for a fucking reason, okay? This movie, I wasn't expecting like anything great because it was, 81, 82 when this came out, but holy crap, I was surprised because, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a huge John Carpenter fanboy, this movie withstood the test of time. If you watch this in 1080p, it's super modern. Because it doesn't show a bunch of dickhead teenagers on their cell phones. Just shows a bunch of people at this base, and there's this fucking alien thing that's taken over, and you don't know who it is.
And I mean, not only is the special effects like still studied and analyzed and everything today. I mean, it's one of the best cases of movie makeup and special effects
I think
ever.
So.
But I mean, also it was just like legitimately terrifying and disturbing.
It was.
I mean, consider one the dog scene in the cages.
Oh God, yeah, that was fucked
disturbing.
up.
It was, and then just at various moments, like when you actually realize that one of the people is the thing, and when they emit that like otherworldly like screech.
Oh God,
and everything, and they start like fucking just like flipping around and they start like transforming and everything. Like that shit is legitimately, like disturbing and scary. So.
Honestly, dude, like John Carpenter, I think was like way, way ahead of his time. I know there's some good giallo directors from back then and a lot of good horror directors. Like, Wes Craven was ahead of his time too. But like the cinematography in this movie it seemed super modern. It wasn't like you were watching an 80s movie at all. Mm-hmm. The score for this movie is probably one of my favorite scores in horror history. That bass pulse, that classic John Carpenter like bass pulse. And along with Pumpkinhead and Alien, this was probably one of the most atmospheric, like the air is super thick type movie. Like it was just very, very suspenseful, and like you felt on edge the whole time. Honestly, that's how I felt watching this.
I mean, at the beginning, even I think it really had a lot to do with the setting and just where they were and what was going on. Because even at the beginning, it started off, you know, kind of slow as most movies do, you know, just building like the story and the characters a bit, but then it jumped kind of right into it. And even the slower scenes throughout the movie, like I was just thinking of the scene where they're doing the blood test.
Yeah.
You know, like that could probably be considered like one of the film's slower scenes, but it wasn't like a weak scene at all, because that scene was super intense, because you could just tell that literally at any moment, like he was just going to put that wire down on one of the pieces of blood and something was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And even not knowing what happens, or even knowing what happens, like I still get caught off guard sometimes by like when he actually does put it there and the guy starts just screeching, you know, like that still surprises me sometimes. So
yeah, same. Honestly, this is one of the most suspenseful movies I've watched, and not like suspense, nothing happens, suspense, and then finally something happens at the ending, like when a stranger calls, like the remake at least, like the original right off the bat, you know, you could tell she's being watched, but you know, the remake was just like suspense, oh, someone disappeared, suspense, oh, is he around this corner, is he around that corner? But this did not have those like suspense with no delivery. This was like slowness, suspense, holy fucking shit, and then 20 minutes later, more suspense, great, another person is okay, waiting for it, oh fuck again, like that's what I liked about this movie, like shit constantly happened, but the pacing was fucking great with this movie. That's another thing with a lot of 1980s movies, like the pacing is kind of shit, you know, like no offense to the 80s horror community, because you know I'm with you guys, but let's just admit there is no better paced movie than this.
Yeah, it was really well paced, because there was something always happening, like right from the get-go. And when they see the what was he, I forget what nationality was, Danish or I don't know, Ukrainian or whatever, like the one guy in the helicopter that was shooting after the dog, you know, right away you're like not sure what was going on, but in that scene and every scene pretty much following after that, like there was something relevant and interesting happening. And then once it got to the actual scenes with them fighting the thing, like they were spaced out really well, you know. So yeah, the suspense was definitely, it culminated in all those like really cool scenes, like the autopsy scene where the doctor gets his hands like basically eaten by by the thing with the stomach and everything, and like the head. And there were just so many iconic scenes in that movie, and they were all paced like super well.
Honestly, I was super worried when they thought McReady was the fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, no. And then they fucking locked him up. They're like, we know it's you. And he's like, bitch, it's not me. Like, then they did the tests, and lo and behold, thank God it wasn't McReady, because Kurt Russell was really one of the only characters I really gave a shit about in this. Mostly because he's like a classic face in like these John Carpenter movies. So I wanted him to live, but
yeah, and I mean his character was cool too, just because none of them were really expanded upon that much, just because they were in this situation where they like had to survive. But he was kind of the character that kept like, you know, his head on like straight for the most part, and he was just kind of the coolest character, obviously.
He really was. Russell, he was really the alpha of this whole group too. Like he always knew what to do somehow, even though he kind of like, I wouldn't say panicked at times, but like you could kind of tell in his eyes, like he felt like the kind of fuck, what am I gonna do? But he was kind of like hiding it. That's what I like about Kurt Russell's character. He can play like the worried main character like really well, even though like even if it looks like he doesn't know what to do, he knew what to do. Like there's even like a whole bunch of fan theories about the ending of this movie, and they said like basically he was super smart, because when he handed the drink to his boy at the end, like they were saying it was just gasoline, and the dude was drinking like num 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 num, thanks bro.
Yeah, because it wasn't ever really expanded upon, but a lot of people think that Childs at the end was the thing.
I think he was too.
And he was just, I don't know, trying to gauge like, you know, Mac's reaction, see if he like knew or something. I'm still not 100% sure, but I mean, I think that he could have been as well. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of theories running around. Who knows? Maybe even at the end it was McReady.
I was thinking that too, kind of, but then, I mean, he was blowing everything up. I don't know if the thing would do that. You know, I think he would try to like preserve himself. That's why a lot of people think it's Childs, because Childs just appears, you know, kind of out of nowhere or whatever. So, who knows like where he was or what he was doing.
He could have like froze to death, and then the thing took him over, so and helped him sustain his life, get back to homeostasis, and boom, hey man, I'm okay. It's like, I'm gonna keep this gun on you. Here, drink this gasoline. Like,
I mean, that was one of the coolest things about the movie, though, is just that it was a mystery too. You know, like you never knew who was the thing until it revealed itself, basically. You know, and a large part of the story was them trying to figure out exactly what was going on and who they should be afraid of. You know, so it didn't really pull any punches. Like, I mean, the story was super well written.
Hell yeah, Carpenter's always got some great stuff up his sleeves.
And I actually didn't know this for a while, but this is actually a remake.
Oh yeah, it's of like a 1930s or 50s film called The Thing from Another World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually haven't seen that, so I can't make any like comparisons or anything to it. But
you know how I knew it was a remake? Because they were watching The Thing from Another World in Halloween 1978 when Tommy Doyle was on the couch, and I knew like it wasn't this thing because this didn't come out till like 4 years after Halloween was released.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, do you think, I'm not even sure, like maybe he knew he was going to do it, or he just randomly put that movie on?
I think it was one of his like more liked, you know, classic films because like, I mean, you wouldn't just throw it on there. I mean, they had Night of the Living Dead in the second one, and he never remade that, so you never know.
Yeah. I mean, unless it was an Easter egg, like I already signed this contract to remake The Thing.
Yeah, like, hey guys, guess what?
Yeah, but that was like 3 or 4 years later or something. I mean, I don't know. But I just thought, I just think that's interesting. But
I would say this is like the perfect horror movie, honestly. I didn't have any problems with this movie.
No, it is like, it's very hard to find flaws in this film.
Well, when I was watching it, I was never like, man, that was stupid, or like, yeah, right. You know how when you watch like some movies and like the villain will slap the main character's head like 30 feet and it spins, falls into a dumpster, and the dumpster closes like in Friday the 13th Part 8, and you're like, come on, bro, that's a little too campy. This movie was not campy. This movie took itself seriously, and we took it seriously, and this is one of my only few 10 out of 10 horror movies. Oh yeah, this movie is as close to perfect, I think, as you can get for horror, because when you're watching this movie, like your eyes are open, you know. Yeah. You're not going to be distracted, because you can't be either. Yeah, if you're on your phone and if you miss anything, then you're gonna like the best thing about watching this is you can kind of like speculate who's, you know, quote unquote infected. But if you pick up your phone and you start dicking around, and once they start finding out who's infected, you're just gonna be like, oh, that's who was. But like if you there's little things you gotta peep during the movie that you will not see if you're just multitasking. This is one of those movies that requires undivided attention.
Yeah, on like every repeat viewing, I kind of like look at different characters, like, you know, with more attention, just to see if I can like figure out. Well, you know, I know who's like gonna turn into the thing now, but I mean, just to see if they give off any weird vibes. Yeah, before that.
I tried when we first watched it. I tried looking at like any subtle changes in like their movements. Yeah. Or like in a lot of horror movies, when someone changes or like is possessed or like taken over by, you could see like the changes in their eyes and like how they look at things. Like if they're if they have like that spaced out look. Honestly, if they have one spaced out look, two, like they look too normal. You know what I mean? Like too calm, I would say. Like in a situation with so much like tenseness that you could cut it with a fucking butter knife. If you see anyone in this situation and they're just like chilling, I mean, even look at McReady. He was fucking nervous the fuck out the whole movie.
Oh
like,
yeah. I mean, especially
that's how you know it wasn't him.
Considering that, you know, they were at this like Antarctic, you know, base or whatever, just completely cut off from the rest of civilization. Pretty much.
They shouldn't be calm, and if they are, they're fucking aliens.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, this movie is super well regarded for pretty much all of those reasons. It's just wildly entertaining. It's actually scary, you know. So this movie deserves to be a cult classic for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it's more than a cult. I think everyone in like even regular movie buffs know that this is one of the best horror movies ever created besides Halloween, and ironically both are by John Carpenter. The man is a genius. Like,
he is.
I want to see him direct at least 2 more films before he like decides just to be a producer or just a writer, or, you know, stuff like that. I want to see more John Carpenter. Just give us, like, cuz look, the guy's a genius, all right? John Carpenter is a creative genius, and I think if he sits down and he can write an original story that has not been done before, like look what correct me if I'm wrong, and you know, you could agree or disagree. I think Jordan Peele is going to be our next Carpenter, because I mean, look at Get Out, and now look at the trailer for Us. Like, he is an innovator in horror. John Carpenter was an innovator in horror, and he made actual scary movies. Like, same thing with Jordan Peele. Now, I think Jordan Peele is gonna, like, I would say kind of like stray away from comedy, because, you know, there's no more Key and Peele, is there? Like,
yeah, I don't know if they're doing. I don't think they're doing it anymore.
I think he needs to just focus on like horror and like thriller, and honestly, I want to see a sci-fi like horror movie with Jordan Peele, because I think the stuff that guy can come up, that guy has talent. Like, you know, when you see like a new horror director and they have talent, and Jordan Peele is probably like one of the only newer like directors that I can really say like, yo, this guy has the potential to be innovative and not just another remake junkie or like doing something that's been done before. And that's exactly what John Carpenter was. He was an innovator, and honestly, he inspired that whole 80s craze, and even the virgin surviving. That all these horror movie tropes started with Halloween. Like, of course, Black Christmas was before Halloween, but in that one, the virgin didn't survive. She was pregnant. You know, that it wasn't like there was no really tropes in that movie other than like the smart girl lives. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, that movie was very innovative in and of itself, of course, but I mean, John Carpenter, pretty much every movie that he did, to some extent, whether it was like a remake or an adaptation or whatever, you know, it was creative. And to me also, I think that the way that he directed his actors was phenomenal too, just because, you know, you never really felt like any of the characters, the actors in his movie were like acting, you know, like stiff and everything. So yeah, the man was phenomenal. And speaking of Jordan Peele, you know, I think that's a good segue into our main discussion.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. You see that?
About these new and upcoming, you know, horror directors. But before we dive into that, we do, of course, have to give a shout out to our host, Sports Radio Detroit. If you're listening to the podcast on the SRD website right now, we hope you are. You can go check out all of their other cool stuff. And you can also interact with them on social media as well. Yes.
They have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Just type in Sports Radio Detroit. That's SRD. And remember, Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio. Big difference.
Speaking of SRD, we do just have to give a few minutes for some of the other shows to show you what they got.
Hi, this is Jason Pinkett from Pucking Around and Spinning the Wheels on Sports Radio Detroit. Check us out every Sunday over on the SRD Hockey feed on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. That's SRD Hockey in your search bar. New episodes every week.
Do you love pop culture? Discussions about pop culture? Ranking and rating treasured pieces of that shared culture against each other?
I mean, I do think Flea's a good bass player. He does what he does very well. And like I said, he's like a rock star, you know? He's eccentric. And what is so funny?
I just didn't know he talked so long about Flea. I didn't know anybody had so many feelings.
I do.
So many
I got
feelings.
Yeah.
Music, movies, television, food, sports, pro wrestling. We are the determination of what is over or underrated across all fields of greater cultural consumption. Subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts and Podbean, or visit us at sportsradiodetroit.com. Over Under Fair, your final word in pop cultural relevance.
Welcome back. Now, Samael, you did mention Jordan Peele, and I definitely wanted to talk about Jordan Peele, considering that, you know, his first foray into the horror genre was such a hit. And he actually came out recently and said that, you know, he thought Get Out was not quite so much a horror movie, but more of like a social thriller. But I think we've pretty much accepted it widely as a horror movie, you know?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Even social thrillers, doesn't matter what type of like, you know, allegories a movie has. If it's like that, come on, thrillers are horror. Unless it's like a drama-based thriller, then I guess it's not horror.
Yeah, like Jason Bourne or whatever is not a horror movie, obviously, but
action thriller.
Yeah, but Get Out definitely had those horror elements, and Us is supposed to be a straight up horror movie. So, I mean, for me, Jordan Peele, if we're talking about directors in the horror genre, he's probably like my, you know, first or second favorite that I think will lead the charge and really be innovative and, you know, like you said, potentially be the next John Carpenter and just make these phenomenal horror films.
I think so.
I mean, as far as other people go, Leigh Whannell, of course, is one of the big ones that I think people are looking at a lot. His debut horror film was Insidious Chapter 3, at least that he directed.
The one that had nothing to do with the previous movies. It was like a prequel, basically.
Kind of.
That girl who got hit by a car and then...
Yeah.
See, that one was... I like that one better than Insidious Chapter 2 and better than The Last Key. So...
Yeah, I kind of did too, honestly, because I mean, the story was okay, but I think that movie had a really creepy atmosphere.
That's what I was gonna say. Like it was really suspenseful. Like, I just felt bad for the girl every time she'd like get thrown out of her bed and dragged. It's like, bro, leave her alone. She has broken legs. Ironically, we were watching that at the same time where my legs were broken. Remember? Yeah. No, I remember that pretty well. I think you actually made a joke during like watching that. Yeah, I did. I was like, my wife or some shit. Like, I don't...
Yeah. No, but I mean, I felt bad for her too. But I think his vision is great.
I think
not only based off of like that movie, but Upgrade. Yeah, I think you should watch Upgrade, you know, even though it's less of a horror movie than kind of like a futuristic thriller with a lot of gore, but it's really good. And Leigh Whannell, I think, did a very good job directing it. His vision is clear and the visuals look awesome. And I think it's just an all around good movie. So I'm super excited for The Invisible Man. I think, if he gets some solid cast members together, I think it actually could be a really good movie. And I'm liking Leigh Whannell a lot. I think he's gonna be up there as well.
I mean, after just watching Insidious Chapter 3 alone, I think he's gonna do good with The Invisible Man. If he can make it decently atmospheric, I'll already like fall into it. Just my qualm with a lot of these, like, even with like the newer directors, like, sure, like the movies are atmospheric. Like a lot of these directors, they're like, some of them have action-packed movies, you know, they like mix the action into the horror. But like a lot of what's lacking in these like newer movies to me, like in a lot of newer movies, is the endings. I feel like just get better writers. Honestly, like you're a great director. Don't hire a writer and then have him give you such a shit ending. Like honestly, that's partially a director's fault too, because they read the script and they look at the ending and go, wow, that's good. Like, no, a lot of these movies had bad endings, like at least modern movies. Like,
I agree. I mean, and a lot of the modern stuff, like we kind of discussed, is really just taking this, I don't know, this like weird cliffhanger approach or something, or like not even a cliffhanger approach, but it's like a gotcha kind of thing, you know? Like I know we kind of briefly mentioned it, but Hellfest, for example. Yeah. You know.
Even Halloween.
Yeah. They're not satisfying endings, and either they're setting up for a sequel or
just completely ambiguous.
Yeah, it's just this whole intention, like, oh hey, you know, it'd be cool if we gave you this entire movie with this thing happening, and then we basically made the whole movie irrelevant by showing you this stupid ambiguous ending where it's like, oh, guess what? This guy was a regular dude the whole time. Okay, what does that do for the audience? Like, what does that do for the story?
It doesn't. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to be John Carpenter. Yeah. Like at the end of the first Halloween, where like Michael just disappeared, and they showed like the different shots of like where the movie took place. They show like the inside of the house, downstairs, and then they show him, like, you hear him breathing, like, oh, now he's out there. Like, they're trying to make it like, oh, he's still out there. Like, and that's cool and all, but it's been done, and it's been done right by Carpenter. Like, if they just left it at Halloween 1, that would have been like great. You've been like, whoa, shit, he's out there somewhere. Yeah. Instead, now it's just like Now you got all these directors making these like extremely open-ended endings, and it's not fun anymore. Like, people think it adds to like the scariness and like to the mystique of like their antagonists, but it really doesn't add anything besides tell us that you were too lazy to write a fucking decent ending. Like, look at Hellfest. Spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. The dude gets stabbed and then he disappears, and he goes home and walks up to his daughter and gives her a doll. Like,
yeah, making us, implying that he's just a regular guy and that regular people can be psycho murderers, but that doesn't do anything for the story, because we can already probably make that assumption that he's either some crazy lunatic that's just going around murdering people, kind of like in Open House or something that was implied, or he probably is some regular dude, or there's something else completely different going on. And if that's the case, then you should probably at least hint at it. But anyway, yeah, it's just, I'd rather see an ending with a resolution for like the main characters, So if the antagonist is not really like the character that we're focusing on the entire time, I don't want this like really weird, ambiguous ending,
Yeah, where the main character gets fucked and like the villain, who's not even like the main focus of the movie, like just overcomes the protagonist. Like,
yeah.
Like, you know what? 2 movies last year that came out had great endings: Incident in a Ghostland and Summer of '84. That's how you end movies. The ending to those movies was perfect.
Yeah, because I mean, even with Summer of '84, like, spoiler alert, the guy apparently got away, but we didn't have this like stupid ending of him like running through the forest or like driving down the road or whatever after he just got away and stuff. Like, it wasn't like that. We were focusing on these kids, and now like the main character is is probably afraid for his life, and there's like that ending voiceover or whatever, I think. So that was a good ending. But I mean, for stuff like He's Out There and Hellfest, like it just wasn't satisfying because it felt lazy to me. So I am kind of tired of that. I mean, as the director, you can generally make those executive decisions with certain story content, stuff like that, and characters and everything. So I agree. I mean, speaking of Incident in a Ghostland, Pascal Laugier, who was the director on that and also the director of Martyrs.
The original Martyrs? Yeah. I didn't know that until like I found that out like fucking recent as hell, actually.
Yeah. I mean, and they're both insane movies. So
and they're both about like basically torture.
Yeah, that guy, and then the duo of Julian Maury and Alexander Bustillo, who were the directors on Inside, Livid, and then the new Leatherface movie.
No way, they did Livid and fucking Inside?
Yep.
The original? Like,
yeah, the original Inside, like the French
Livid
one.
As in livid, like the vampire?
Yeah, that one.
No way.
Yep.
They did Leatherface?
Apparently, I didn't watch that. I heard it wasn't that great.
Leatherface?
Yeah.
It's okay, here's my qualm with Leatherface. It's too much of a prequel, and the guy doesn't fit like the dude's like fucking look does not fit Leatherface. They make you think that Leatherface is like another dude, and like I don't know. It's just this one's like a crime drama. It seems like until the ending where he finally like gets his mask and like the chainsaw, and then you're just like. Really, all of that leading up to this? Why do you think the movie came out? 2017, right?
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
like $6 on Amazon.
Yeah, no, I heard pretty bad things about it.
It's the equivalent of Victor Crowley.
Yeah, I don't know if these guys wrote it, but I believe they did direct it. But I mean, Inside and Livid are great. So I mean, all these guys and Pascal Laugier, like, they're part of this whole like new extreme French wave of horror movies, which I think is definitely blowing up as well. We're also seeing some good directors out of Spain. I don't have any that like I can dish out like right here now. I mean, Fede Alvarez, but he's an American director, but he's great as well. He did the Evil Dead remake. He directed Don't Breathe, and he'll be directing the sequel Don't Breathe 2 as well. So that guy's another one to keep an eye out.
I like Jennifer Kent. I need more Babadook type movies, because legitimately Babadook, I don't care what anyone says, it's so stupid because it's a metaphor. Yeah, no, you're just too fucking stupid to know the metaphor. You can't say the monster wasn't scary as fuck. You can't say the movie wasn't atmospheric because it was like 90% atmosphere. Yeah. You can't say it had a bad script because the script was great. It had the struggle of a mother facing resentment toward her son because her husband left or died or whatever the hell. So, like, what do you expect from a psychological, supernatural horror movie?
I mean, that's why the movie was so well regarded. You know, despite the ending, which some people have, you know, their qualms with, like, it was a well done horror movie. And yeah, when the Babadook creature was on the screen, like, it was impressive. You know, like, I enjoyed it a lot. So she's great. She's actually working on a new movie with Guillermo del Toro.
No way. Holy fuck.
I'm not sure what the project is, but that's going to be fucking nuts.
That is. Imagine, like, fucking... Damn.
Yeah. I mean, and del Toro right now, honestly, is kind of the king of filmmaking at this moment, in my opinion. You know, like, he's pretty much everything he's doing can do no wrong. You know, he just came off of winning Best Director and Best Picture last year. I mean, the guy's phenomenal.
What did he direct last year?
The Shape of Water.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, which was really good in my opinion. Not so much horror, but had a really cool creature effect. But I mean, the guy has done a lot of horror movies. You know, The Devil's Backbone, Kronos, Pan's Labyrinth, more or less horror fantasy kind of. So, I mean, the fact that they're working on something together is awesome. And he's actually working on something else called Antlers. I don't know if that's the Jennifer Kent project, but I don't think it is.
Andy Muschietti.
Yeah, he's the director of the It remake.
He did Mama?
Yeah, he did.
I thought Del Toro did Mama for some reason.
I think Del Toro produced it.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no. Andy Muschietti was the director, and I mean for It too. You know, like, there are a lot of really good directors.
Oh, dude, he did fucking great with It.
And I'm super. I mean, It Chapter 2 is like one of our most anticipated horror movies of 2019.
I would say it's probably my most anticipated besides The Prodigy and then the other movie. What's the other fucking... Oh, yeah, the Child's Play movie. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree, dude. I mean, I think he did a great job as well. You know, there were a few things with It that I think could have been done better. But I mean, from a directing standpoint, it was very good. There are some other great filmmakers out there as well who are doing stuff. Robert Eggers, probably one of the most talked about, I think, just because of The Witch. It was actually his debut horror film, I think. And now he's going to be doing something else called The Lighthouse, which a lot of people are really interested in.
I was just about to ask, like, what the hell is The Lighthouse?
Yeah. This one actually looks pretty cool because it's supposed to be kind of like a fantasy horror with all these, like, urban legends and stuff like that. So kind of one of those again, but this one's actually shot in black and white on 35 millimeter film. So it's going to have that, like, grainy old kind of look to it. So it's probably going to be super nostalgic. I'm not sure what the movie is actually about, but, you know, despite what you think about The Witch, it was an impressive, debut film for sure.
I mean, other than, like, a whole lot of nothing at the first 3/4 of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I would say the last quarter of the movie was good. And, like, I wasn't disappointed, honestly, with the ending, other than the fact that, like, I wanted to see, like, the witches, like, acknowledge their new witch a little more, other than just, come join the circle of flying witches on our broomsticks. Like,
yeah. No, I know what you mean. I mean, overall, I thought the movie was pretty okay. But visually and everything, I thought it looked really good.
Oh yeah, aesthetically it looked like perfect. Yeah. Like there was nothing wrong with it aesthetically.
Oh yeah. So I mean, considering what he's doing with The Lighthouse, I think that Robert Eggers is definitely a director to watch out for too. I just hope that, you know, out of this pack of them, you know, there's some other ones too. Jeremy Saulnier, who did Blue Ruin and Green Ruin.
I think one I wanted to mention was David Robert Mitchell.
Yeah.
Because It Follows was so fucking good. I want to see more of his take on, like, supernatural phenomenon, like this random entity following you forever until it kills you. Like, I want to see more of that.
No, it's cool. That was super original too.
It was, because, like, it had Like, dude, there was like all this mystique behind all, like, what the hell is this thing? And the fact that they never explained it and they left the ending kind of like ambiguous was amazing to me. Like, we're definitely getting a sequel.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, he does actually have a new movie out or coming out this year called Under the Silver Lake, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna be too horror. It looks more of like I don't really know, more of a dramatic thriller kind of, I guess. But I think it's supposed to have some kind of either supernatural elements or something like that to it. It looks good, but it's not quite horror, I don't think.
Instead of It Follows 2, it should be called It Still Follows.
It still follows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I hope he does make a sequel to that movie, because I mean, I think there's I believe I saw something that he was interested in, maybe like exploring what it is, you know.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I could be wrong. I mean, I could be pulling that out of my ass, but I thought I saw that somewhere. But
I'm also excited, and I know he just had a few movies come out recently, like this one guy I'm talking about, 1031 and The Barn.
Oh yeah.
But I want to see more Justin Seaman movies.
Seaman.
Oh yeah, it's a Seaman.
Seaman. No, yeah. Well, his vision is cool because he does a lot of stuff that's
retro as hell.
Yeah, super retro. Just really like, just nailing in like the Halloween vibes.
I really like
generally
the vibes in like 1031. Like,
yeah.
Even though like the story, like I would say, 2 of the stories were good. 2 of them were kind of lacking, but it maintained like the same feel throughout like the whole thing. That's what I enjoyed about it. Like, not just like the Halloween vibes, but like I like the setting. Like, you know, like it was all in like small towns. It wasn't like I'm in New York City, like New Year's Evil. You know, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was just like small places where shit just happens to happen. And I really like that mansion at the beginning where like the witch was at, like the hag. Like,
oh yeah, that was a great location.
Even like the barn, like perfect location. Don't knock on the barn, you know, knock knock. Oh, like it was perfect to me. Honestly, I really enjoyed the barn. They're making a sequel, by the way.
Oh really?
Yeah, I
Nice.
checked his Facebook. They have a sequel up in like the making right now. They're just like, I think they did like a little GoFundMe thing, so you know people could help out and shit. So
Nice. He actually apparently also has another anthology film called Cryptids. That actually sounds really good. But
nice.
yeah, I love his passion for all that nostalgic old school stuff.
That's why I admire him for. Like,
yeah, you can just tell that he loves horror. I mean, basically with everything that he's done.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's just an inherent love of horror, and that's what I like about all these directors.
Passion really separates the directors who are doing this for a quick check and the directors who are doing this because they truly appreciate every little facet of the horror genre, whether it be 80s, 90s, modern. And Justin Seaman, he takes the 90s feel, but he has modern cinematography. The cinematography isn't retro by like any means, you know. It's not like 90s like because come on, let's be real. 90s cinematography was kind of like 80s cinematography was kind of poor, but 90s was just kind of zany cinematography.
Yeah.
If you hadn't noticed, like in Idle Hands, like it was just kind of like wacky a bit. But this guy takes the wacky, like at least like the wacky feel of like Halloween in most of his movies, because most of his movies are Halloween based. Like,
Yeah.
and he takes that and applies modern cinematography and his own little vision of what what in his mind he envisioned the 90s were like, and he makes these like, you know, modern movies. And there's a few minor things wrong with them, with like some of the stuff. Like in 1031 I noticed a few minor things, like some of the actors, like I think they need like better direction. They could have did more takes on like certain parts. You know, he couldn't have just been like, all right, that's perfect, unless he was like on his phone or something while he was directing. But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, like they said on the back of his like 1031, if this is the future of horror, you know, we're in good hands. Like, and I think so.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I actually was just thinking, like, you know, he and maybe a couple other people I think have the potential to be kind of like the Stuart Gordons of the up and coming, I guess, era of horror, because he did like Reanimator and stuff like that. Stuart Gordon wasn't really, he's well revered and talked about, but I mean, generally when you talk about the horror directors that are really well known, like the legends, Wes Craven, John Carpenter, like he's kind of up there, but typically he's not quite as heavily talked about, and guys like this, like Justin Seaman, like he's got Seaman. He's he's got a very like clear vision about like what he wants his horror movies to be like.
That's what I love about him.
Yeah, and I think with a little bit better direction, a little bigger budgets maybe, and just continuing all the innovative content and stories and stuff like that he's putting out, I think that he can make some really, really classic like horror movies.
I think The Barn 2 is probably going to be really good, honestly, because like the Barn came out in like 2016, I believe. So it's been 3 years that I'm assuming that he's been wanting to do this sequel, because obviously if you enjoyed filming your movie and it came out like you wanted to, like you automatically start thinking, yo, how would I continue this? And I mean, he's had like a good 3 years to think about it, and now he's decided that he's gonna start filming soon. So I'm really, really excited to see the second Barn movie, because we both watched The Barn on the same day off of Tubi TV, and then I had to own it, so I bought it off Amazon, and it's probably one of my favorite Halloween based movies, along with obviously Trick or Treat, Halloween, and Honest Tales of Halloween was dope. So honestly, these Halloween based movies, I think that's Justin's forte. Like, and I'm not saying he should stick to that, because I'm sure he can create like a lot better stuff with like more serious undertones, but like the whole 90s Halloween horror feel, like that's him. He's got that down, especially after The Barn. I don't think I've seen any better like Halloween movie, like independent director. Like a lot of the independent directors that try to do Halloween themed movies nowadays are just like, meh, it was okay. But I think Justin really captures like the essence of Halloween, especially with The Barn. So
yeah, no, I agree completely. And I mean, I was gonna say we can't really talk about the directors too much without mentioning some of the more like well-established ones so far. Like James Wan, Del Toro, Mike Flanagan becoming one of those really like hotshot horror directors after doing The Haunting of Hill House, Oculus, Ouija, Origin of Evil.
Then we got fucking Shyamalan.
Yeah, Rob Zombie, of course.
Oh yeah, Rob Zombie's, man, he's been making horror movies for a minute. Hey, listen, outside of his Halloween movies, I enjoyed his movies. Yeah, I've seen all of his horror movies besides 31. So
yeah, which was pretty decent. But all these guys and women have very very particular styles, and despite the fact that maybe they're not so well regarded as the guys like Carpenter and Wes Craven, they're definitely, they've made their mark, and you kind of know more or less what to expect from these guys. So I hope that for these up and coming directors, we start seeing more of that, like Justin Seaman type, just focus on finding your vision and really crafting like movies that kind of fit what you can do well,
like what Jordan Peele is doing right now, like the movies with like these like problematic social issues. Like Justin, Seaman should like not stick to, but he does the Halloween like theme very well. And let's say Del Toro, he does those fantasy monster movies like really well. Like, I mean, Pan's Labyrinth, right? I mean, that shit was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of potential with a lot of them. Robert Eggers, for example, he's got that kind of period sort of style going on where he explores these like kind of old-timey characters and settings, and he's doing The Lighthouse and just black and white on film.
I was gonna say, who directed Ghost Stories?
Ghost Stories.
You remember that dude needs more psychological supernatural. That was one of the more well done movies that I've seen recently because it totally caught me off guard, especially with the ending.
Yeah. I actually just remembered it was Andy Nyman and Jeremy Dyson were the directors on that.
Yeah, I want to see them do more stuff, honestly.
For sure, yeah. And that was a great psychological one. Another good director I feel like that captures the psychological horror well is Pascal Laugier, who did Incident at Ghostland, like we talked about.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's got that whole torture, at least, yeah.
That extreme horror.
Yeah, as long as honestly, and I know a lot of people like these kind of movies or whatever. Let's keep rape out of horror movies, huh? Like that's already a horrific thing that really happens a lot in real life, and we're trying to get away from real life with these movies. Of course, there's movies like based upon stuff that happens in real life, but look at the movies in like the fucking 80s and 90s and even early 2000s. They didn't have to show like gratuitous shit like fucking like little girls getting like carried off by some giant man to be raped. Like,
yeah,
that's horrifying. It's horrifying. Don't get me wrong, but it's not scary. You know what I mean? Like, it's more like it makes you feel fucked up. Like you want to go on a murder spree and like kill every local sex offender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make you like, oh shit, that's scary. It makes you more angry, more, at least me, more so than anything. Like, so
considering the subject matter and like his movies and a lot of these other guys' movies, I don't know, but I mean, in general, I think they make some effective horror movies.
Oh yeah, they're effective, but it's just I want to be scared, not like fucking traumatized. Like,
I get you.
Like I didn't enjoy the original I Spit on Your Grave. That shit was horrific. So was Last House on the Left. That was horrific to like watch. Like, no, I'm not saying like in a technical way. The movies were done really like gritty and they were like super effective, but just like the like how brutal the fucking rape scenes were. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like,
well, I mean, then I think definitely you want to keep an eye out on directors like Leigh Whannell, Sean Byrne, who did The Devil's Candy.
That one was actually a good one. Really good.
Yeah.
Who made A Dark Song? Because that was...
Oh, I'm not sure. That one was great
That one was great. We need more like slow burns and like... Because that was more of like an atmospheric movie and...
Yeah.
I really like those kind of movies. Honestly, Devil's Candy, A Dark Song...
Can't forget about Ari Aster, who debuted with Hereditary, of course.
Yes. We need more Hereditary. I don't care what any of these little shitheads say. Hereditary was a great film.
It was, yeah. And I mean, for a directorial debut, like a feature debut, like it was phenomenal.
And
honestly.
Toni Collette did fucking amazing, bro.
Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't get... Did she get an award for that performance?
Well, she didn't get nominated at the Oscars. That's the biggest thing. But,
that's so fucking
But we're
dumb.
going to talk about that
because
later,
for like a horror movie, like she did extremely well. Honestly, I just didn't like Peter in that movie. Like, bro, shut up.
Well, we're gonna talk about that more so in a future episode. But I mean, in general, though, we definitely need these up and coming directors to really establish, I think, a clear vision. And because right now I'm afraid that we're just going to be getting a lot of these kind of very similar
cookie cutter
feeling horror movies. Not even necessarily cookie cutter, just kind of the same sort of vibe in and out. So it is definitely refreshing when we see people like Justin Seaman and Leigh Whannell and stuff, sharing their vision and really making some good horror movies. So that's pretty much all I got to say about the directors. And as a director, I mean, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. So I hope that we have a lot of these talented people making good horror movies, because we need it.
We really do.
Let us know what your guys' thoughts are on this subject and who your favorite horror directors are. We are going to move on, however, to our final segment of the episode and talk about a newer horror movie directed by someone that we actually didn't discuss, Brian Bertino. We're going to do that in this week's Chopping Block. And this week's Chopping Block features a movie called The Monster.
Which is, it's kind of like a family drama / horror.
Sort of.
But it was more horror, I guess, with like, they showed the family problems and like little flashbacks and stuff. My first problem with this movie is like the alcoholic mother and the daughter, which, how old's her daughter? Like 8, 9 years old or 10, something like that.
Something like that.
The worst part in the movie where she's just standing in the garage and her mom's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And she's like, stop it. Like, I'm just like, wow, bro. You are a terrible mother. But basically, the girl goes from holding a knife to her mother's throat in her sleep to being extremely upset when her mother gets attacked.
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, the basic premise is that this little girl's mother is a piece of shit and doesn't treat her right. So this little girl is trying to go and be with her father. And so it's up to the mother to get herself up and basically drive her over to the father and, I don't know, deposit her, like basically get rid of her because she's a fuck up and can't take care of her well enough. Obviously, as evident by her screaming at her.
And then slapping the shit out of her after when her and her boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they were just
drugs
up. And
she hid their drugs or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, which, a lot of people can relate to this, I feel like, having abusive parents and just generally not so great childhoods growing up. So, I mean, I thought that what happened, this whole interaction between the mom and kid, I thought it was actually done fairly well. Like, it was pretty messed up.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I thought just the interaction was done well. Even though she hated her, when they got stranded and started being stalked by this crazy monster, like, you still don't want your mom to get hurt necessarily,
yeah, that's true.
Like, especially as like a little kid, I think. So I thought that the way that the characters themselves were written and interacted with each other was pretty well, despite what you may think of their evolution, but that was the thing, like with each passing scene, like the flashbacks, like each one subsequently just got worse and worse, to the point where, like, not to give any huge spoilers, but to the point where, like, she wanted to even like harm her mother. But then like this one situation happens and it really causes them to either get over their differences and band together, or they just fucking get eaten by something, so. And
that thing ate a grown-ass man.
Yeah, I actually thought that the actual monster in this movie
sick
was awesome.
It was really awesome. This is one of the best movie monsters I've seen in a while.
Oh yeah.
Because it wasn't like ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
It was about the size of like two bodybuilders, like stacked on each other, I want to say, but walking on all fours. Monster itself, though, was kind of not the looks. I mean, in terms of strength, it was a pretty strong and quick monster, but it was not resilient at all.
Yeah, no, not really. But I mean, I guess that does give it that like kind of more realistic feel. Like this is just some complete outlier creature, but it's not like invincible or something like
exactly.
that.
Exactly. It bleeds, so it can die.
But still, like going up against this scrawny, druggy, alcoholic mom and her little kid, like it really was a survival horror movie because, and considering the setting, so I mean, it was a cool vibe to this movie. I felt like, just them being stranded in the middle of the road in the middle of nowhere. It's just storming and raining. It's completely dark. I thought that the visuals to this movie and the vibe were great.
They were. I really liked the whole rainy night thing. Those are like my favorite movies.
I kind of just wish that was the whole movie. I mean, I get why all the flashbacks and everything exist, but there were definitely times where like I didn't really want to see another flashback.
I didn't really.
And more character exposition and stuff. Like I just wanted to see more of like them versus the monster.
I guess they did that to like develop the characters in a way. Yeah. But like we were so far at one point we were far enough into the movie that we really didn't need any more flashbacks,
Yeah. I mean, I do get it because that was really the driving force behind this movie. Like, surviving against a monster was kind of its own thing, but at the same time it was sort of like this allegory for their relationship and I guess the motivation for them to kind of, bond, I guess, and learn to love each other or whatever. So I do get that, but I mean, for the sake of just like the pacing and the flow of the story and everything, yeah, I kind of wish that there were fewer, flashback scenes with them and stuff. Because I mean, you could have kind of established
All they
what you
needed really
to
was like
establish.
they needed only like 2 flashbacks. They just needed to include more in the flashbacks. Like not like we don't need these 30-second flashbacks of fuck you, bitch, fuck you, I'll cut you, bitch. Where are my drugs? Like we could have did that all in one take. Like
I agree. I mean, yeah, there probably could have been fewer scenes of that, but overall, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. You know, actually watching it on like my 4K TV.
Dude,
it looked really good.
That's what I did last night. I was like, yo, let me turn off these lights. The HDR kicked in, Ultra 4K kicked in, and I was like, here we go.
Yeah. Every scene pretty much with them like stranded on the side of the road, that was gold to me. Like I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
you know. So
I think aesthetically the movie was near perfect.
Yeah, it really was. Even in the Dark Knight and everything. And I'm not talking about like Batman. I'm just saying like, you know, in the darkness of the movie, like everything was. I thought it was really well lit, and I could see all the little details and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really cool. It looked awesome, and it did keep you on the edge of your seat. I felt like the tension was good. You know, especially when like the monster first started kind of being revealed. I thought all that was really good.
Oh yeah, when they first saw that wolf had been bitten before it got hit. So
yeah, I mean it was a good mystery for the most part too, until they like, you know, really got up front, up close and personal with it and everything. But yeah, I mean, I maybe less flashback scenes and stuff, but in general, I like the movie. And I mean, we can't, you know, not discuss the acting between the mom and the little girl. I think the acting was solid.
It was solid, but it was really intense, honestly.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all, but it was just their relationship was an intense one. That's all I can say.
It was, yeah. I mean, I guess if I had one criticism, and it's kind of natural, I guess, to dispute it because it's a little girl, but you know, I don't know if the girl's acting and like her intensity matched the mom's necessarily, you know. And
it's harder to match adult acting.
Oh yeah,
if you're a child.
That's what I'm saying. I was just saying, like, if I had to have one criticism about the acting, that would probably be it. But it's not totally valid just because, you know, it's a young girl. So
I'm glad that she just like she defended herself. That was dope. But the way she figured out the way to battle this monster though at the end.
No, I mean, I thought it was good. And like, you know, her story, especially like overcoming these monsters and everything too, it made sense, you know. Like maybe there was a little too much of that, like all the quotes flying on the screen and all the voiceover and stuff. Like, all right, we kind of get what's going on here, you know. You don't really have to force it down our throats so much. But,
right, spell it out for them, Jimmy.
Yeah, but in general, I like the movie, and for me personally, like, it's not chopped, but expect to see some, you know, like of these really dramatic flashbacks.
Oh yeah, it's not chopped for me either. I think you should definitely watch this one just for the atmosphere and the monster alone. Those two things right away just made this movie completely watchable. And the fact that it was like a really isolated incident. Not so much isolated as in a building, or like it was just on the side of the road, and then there was a building at the end. But you know what I wondered? Like she was hiding out in that building. Like, how did the people who are at that building on a daily basis not notice this fucking monster lurking around the woods?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just a bear, Wolverine, chicken, polar bear, fucking humanoid from the deep swamp thing.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeti.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they didn't like try to somehow explain like what the thing was, or it was just kind of like it's kind of like a thing that happened, you know.
By the way, Hollywood, we need a Yeti movie.
We do, yeah.
There's been a Bigfoot movie recently, Cherokee Creek. We got checkmark modern Bigfoot movie. Well, it's not horror, it's horror comedy, but yeah, just go on Amazon, watch it. You'll fucking shit your pants. You're not gonna be scared, but the movie's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But we need a Yeti. We got Bigfoot, now we need a Yeti.
We should just pitch the Penny Yeti story.
Dude, I should tell Todd Jenkins, like, dude, you should even continue Cherokee Creek. Next, you should do a Yeti movie.
Yeah.
Imagine Cherokee Creek, but like in the wintertime. It'll be fucking crazy, honestly.
Yeah, it's just like takes place in like the Himalayas.
That would be fucking great.
Yeah, that would be great.
Or it takes place at U of M Dearborn.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about The Monster. I really enjoyed it. I do kind of wish that I wasn't so affected by all the modern, having to put all this backstory and exposition and everything. But even that I thought was done well, and it didn't take away too much from the actual like creature feature elements of this movie. So go check it out. It is on Netflix right now. It was just released on there. So let us know what you think about it.
Because we sure as hell enjoyed it.
We did, yeah. And you can tell us what you think by talking to us on all our social media as well. We've got a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We post all the weekly stuff there, and we post a bunch of other things as well. We do have a website, gravediscussions.net too. So there's tons of ways to talk with us. Please do so, because we love all you guys and we value your opinions, and we want to know what you think about what we talk about. So hit us up.
But boils and ghouls, we'll see you next week on Grave Discussions. Dun dun.
This has been an SRD production.